Hey, it's Bill. We're working on depression today, and I wanted to begin this session with a discussion of some habits that you might be having going on in your life right now. A lot of people get into a compulsive concern state, and this can cause depressions to get worse, or it can cause a depression in the first place. All right, this would be watching disaster videos, or television with concern for nature, the disasters in the world, disaster thinking, political anarchy or political dominance stuff, Illuminati, Alex Jones, health channels that are dealing with every kind of health issue that you might be dealing with. When you're dealing with depression, you need to turn all of that stuff off. It needs to just be turned off. Okay? Dealing with clinical depression naturally is a very fine art, and you must begin by respecting your mind and your spirit and your soul, okay, to a point that you know that there are certain no-nos out there that you're not to do. You're not to call your ex, you're not to argue with your boss, you're not to invite negativity into your space. When you are dealing with depression, you are in a holy place. You are very much focused on self and without guilt. If you have responsibilities out there in the world and you need to take care of them, fine. You've got kids running around, or parents living with you, or whatever. You need to remove yourself from them when you're working on these processes that we are discussing here. This is important stuff. You deserve to take this time and focus on yourself for a while. Now, compulsive concern is a problem, and when you realize that you're doing this, like worrying about, oh, the Illuminati's taking over the world, our life is going to be terrible in 20 years here on the planet. You must release all of these thoughts and come into a space where you're safe. It's really important to create a temporary, safe place for yourself. Okay, and put everything, I mean everything, aside. You can visualize it by mentally wrapping it up in a little box and putting it on a shelf and say, I will deal with this stuff at the appropriate time. Now it's time for me. I'm going to deal with this issue now. And then you begin to breathe and you relax. You'll notice the anxiety abates when you put that stuff, everything, up on the shelf, and you begin to feel better. So we've already started to feel a little bit better. Okay, now that you understand that compulsive concern is the issue that you might be dealing with, think about not watching network news for a month. I know that this is a tough one for some people because they really love the news. And I'm talking about newspapers, I'm talking about news blogs and articles. No news. If you're dealing with clinical depression, this is one of the best things that you can do. Limiting input of this information is almost as good as taking a walk or doing a run, if you're so bold, with your antidepressant program. So turning off news is important. Tuning it out completely. I strongly recommend not watching any television when you're dealing with depression. And there are a few exceptions. If you have, or if you own, a movie that is always a joy to watch, I don't care if it's The Sound of Music, or if it's Big Fat Greek Wedding, or if it's a European movie or a beautiful film that you love, that's an exception. So also, we are discussing media here, and in the first part of the video I discussed what not to watch. Now we're going to talk about what to watch, or what to listen to. Okay, now do you have some music that always inspires you, always, that isn't connected with any difficulty or tragic event? Now, I know someone that loves Whitney Houston's, poor Whitney, talk about depression and difficulty, but her God Bless America song inspired this friend of mine so much that when she would get depressed, she would listen to this when she was doing her hot to cold bath, which we discussed in another video. And it would really begin to get her internal joy moving. She was such a patriot and such an incredible person. I can't begin to tell you, but this song inspired her. So if you have music like this and you know how to compile a CD on your computer, compile a CD that you use for when you're depressed. None of the songs should have any identification with tragedies or pain from your past. So you have to be really, really careful. Sometimes it takes weeks to build up the list. Make a list of songs over time, and then build the CD, or have one of your kids or one of your friends make the CD for you, and use that. Okay. Also, if you're depressed and you're really, really a mess, or you're really having difficulty, you can move forward by watching comedy on YouTube. Okay? Be very careful how you choose your comedian. Okay? But choose somebody that really makes you laugh, but that makes you laugh at things that aren't connected with, like, marriage, the difficulties with marriage, or any of the traumas that you're working with. Depression has so much to do with trauma that I can't even begin to tell you. Echoes from the past. They call it post-traumatic stress syndrome. A lot of depression has to do with that. And from all of the hundreds and hundreds of books I've read about depression, that is the one thing that always pops up, and they never really focus on it, but it's always mentioned. Always. So as you're dealing with depression, remember, you may not want to go back and examine your past. I am not a big proponent of that. That tends to numb the depression a little bit when you focus on understanding what happened to you, but it doesn't really nail it. All right, to nail it to the point where you start feeling joy and you start feeling happy again, and content, and a sense of equanimity, and then you find your mental acumen, your intellect starts going up and up and up when you become less and less and less depressed, You can focus on your work. You become more creative. This is when you stymie trauma and you stop it without focusing on it and analyzing it, then it dissipates like mist, and suddenly you begin to rise, and your intellectual capacity as it rises is an indicator of dropping depression. So you become more creative and less depressed at the same time. And as you get more creative, when you use that creativity, like choosing comedy videos that really make you laugh, then depression gets even further down and creativity even gets higher. And this is where healing begins. And you can maintain it. So as you browse YouTube, and YouTube is a magnificent antidepressant if you use it correctly. So you're finding videos that really make you laugh, and you bookmark them, and you check in with them when you start to slip. And if they become old and you don't like them anymore, just find new ones. But like I said, they should not be associated with any of the traumas that you're dealing with that are linked to your depression. It should be new and fresh, just like the music that you choose as antidepressant music. All right, so this is what media to deal with and what media not to deal with when you're dealing with depression. And I hope that all of you folks out there that are experiencing depression understand that I have been there. I am 57 years old now, and I have been experiencing massive debilitating depressions since I was 31. Even earlier, I was diagnosed when I was 31 years old. And I went through times that I cannot begin to tell you about. It was just tragic. I don't want to remember them because I want my life to move forward. And part of my program is doing these videos because they help me remind me of what I know and to do it. So all blessings, all good things, all good thoughts to you right now. And keep on with the program. It's really not that hard. It's just about living well and acknowledging your personhood, your value, your incredible life as a human being. You are truly blessed. And regardless of your circumstances, you can allow yourself to believe that in the moment and feel good. Just for a moment, for a minute, or for an hour, or for a day, or for a lifetime. It's your choice, and you can do it. Just follow these videos, do the processes, and you will start feeling better. Here's to you, and remember, I'm not a doctor. I'm not recommending you do anything. I have to do the disclaimer. But these things have worked for me, and they worked much better for me than any drug could ever. Especially the taking walks and the observation process I shared in the last video. So if you need to look at these videos and see which processes are offered in each video, they're always listed below, so you don't get confused. You're always watching the one that you want. So pick out your comedians on YouTube. Don't watch any news. I mean, I want you not to know what's going on in the world. It's very counterproductive to your progress against your depression and feeling better. So I hope you do feel better today, and let me know how you're doing. drop me a comment or an email. I always respond. Take care.